Hello, pup parents, and welcome to today's episode of the Perfect Pup Podcast. My name is Devin. I'm very excited for today's episode. It's going to be a little bit different than normal. We're not going to be talking about a specific behavior or a specific part about dogs. We're going to just generally be talking about the puppy blues and some things to remember if you're falling into the puppy blues or you have the puppy blues. And this doesn't just apply to puppies. I'm going to use the word puppy mostly, but this really does apply to anytime you have a dog in general, especially a new dog you're bringing into your home. The challenges of raising a dog. So let's get right to it. First off, sorry for the slightly late upload. I recorded this episode, the audio didn't record. So that's always fun. But here we are, a little bit late, but we're here. I want to start with a very, very quick story, a story about me, I guess. I love snowboarding, and I've been snowboarding for a couple decades now, like over 10 years, right? And it's something I'm super passionate about, something I do often, and it's something that I'm pretty good at. It's something that I can keep up, basically. So when I first started snowboarding, the very first time that I went, it was awful. Like I was so excited. I had all these visions of things I was going to do. I'd watch snowboarding videos. I was like, I'm going to be doing all those tricks today, the first day. I didn't. It was awful. I was on my butt most of the time. I was freezing. I was frustrated. My instructor was telling me things and I was like, it sounds like you're speaking a different language. The words that you're using and the terms that you're describing, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it was extremely, extremely frustrating. Fast forward a little bit and I started going more frequently, even in those first handful of times that I went, it was really frustrating. There were some days where I was like, do I want to keep doing this even? Is this even worth it? Am I even progressing? And over time, with practice, with consistency, I started to get okay. I could carve, I could go down the mountain. I wasn't falling every 5 seconds. I could actually stand up. I could get on and off of the lift. Things felt much more comfortable. And fast forward to now, and I can, go down black diamonds and do tricks and those types of things. So like there's been a very, very long, slow line of progression with my ability to snowboard. What would have happened though if I would have given up after that first day, or even after those first 4, 5, 6 times going when I was still frustrated, still things weren't happening like I wanted to? I wouldn't be the snowboarder I am today, number one. And number two, I wouldn't have one of my, most passionate hobbies that I like take part in. That wouldn't be a part of my life. And my life would be completely different because of that. The same thing goes for our dogs, especially for our puppies. When you first bring a puppy home, it's excitement. You are anticipating all these tricks you're going to teach your dog, all the things you're going to do with your dog, the fun times you're going to have. And then the puppyhood hits and it's like, oh no, there's biting and there's chewing and they're peeing on everything and they're bolting out the door and they won't listen when we're outside. And it's like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? Is this worth it? Is this something I even want to do? And it can be very, very difficult. And honestly, like it can be a very tough time as a pup parent when you're going through the puppy blues. And again, this applies to dogs as well, not just young puppies. So here's 2 things that we can get insight from my snowboarding experience and apply it to raising a puppy. Number 1, the beginning is often the hardest. Just like with anything in life, whether it's snowboarding, raising a puppy, learning piano, learning how to speak a different language, the very beginning is almost always the hardest. You are a beginner, you're a novice, you don't know anything, you're starting from scratch, you feel like you're constantly trying to read and watch videos and consume content and understand what's happening with this puppy, but it's like it seems like it's all just disconnected and it can be very, very frustrating. And then even, you usually get over that first little hump and it's like you've got challenges constantly popping up with raising a puppy. It is not easy. But again, if we remember that the beginning is often the hardest, it can give us some insight to knowing that, hey, if I can get through these tough early stages, it's going to be better in the long run. The second point that I think is so important to remember, especially when it comes to raising a puppy or raising a dog, similar to my snowboarding experience, is you have to lay a strong foundation, and that's going to set you up for the future, especially with our dogs, right? For snowboarding, you have to learn how to carve. You have to learn how to turn to go down the mountain before you can do tricks, or before you can go down steeper hills, or before you can go and do more exploring. And it's the same thing with our puppies, right? They need to learn how to listen inside the house first. They need to learn how to focus on us when we want. They need to learn, what is and isn't okay with chewing. And those foundations take the longest time, but with the right foundation, with a quality foundation for your dog's behavior and your dog's training, you're going to get down the line and you're going to have an older dog and you're going to run into situations that they've never encountered before, but you're going to be able to say, or your dog is going to be able to understand, oh, I've done something similar to this. I know generally how I'm supposed to act. There's that foundational layer of behaviors that is going to help your dog make better decisions as they grow up and as they get older and as you continue to train them. And the same thing goes with the foundations for us as the trainer, right? Like each of us in a sense as a dog trainer, as we're training our dogs, we have to lay the foundational habits for ourselves of, how to use a clicker, how to use marker words, when to reward, how to be preemptive about catching potential bad behaviors and redirecting, those types of things. We ourselves are learning and creating a foundation for ourselves as dog trainers in the sense of training our own dogs. So it's so important to keep those two things in mind if you have the puppy blues. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I have 3 dogs, Sunny and Scout, the 2 labs. If you're watching, you can see them. We got Scout when Sunny was like 6 or 7 months old. And so we had 2 Labrador retrievers under 1 year old, 1 years old. Sorry, I don't know how to say that. Under 1 year in our home at the same time. And let me tell you, it was really hard. And my wife and I both went through the puppy blues at one stage or another. A lot of frustration, a lot of late nights or nights not sleeping because of puppy barking or whatever it is, cleaning up pee from the floor, you know, dogs destroying tables that we had just purchased, all that fun stuff that comes with puppyhood. But let me tell you, and this is the biggest point that I want you to take away from this episode. The challenges that you're facing right now with your new dog or your puppy, they will be worth it. At least in my opinion. That's just an opinion. But for me, my 3 dogs, my relationship that I have with them is so strong and such like an important part of my life that fighting through the puppy blues and the challenges of having a puppy and raising a puppy, worth it tenfold. Now I can go out on walks with all 3 of my dogs. I can go to the park and play fetch. We can take them on hikes. We can go on road trips. We can do all types of things with our dogs, which is part of why we wanted to get dogs and why we wanted dogs in our house. So I'm telling you from personal experience and just as a little bit of motivation, do not give up. Keep fighting through the puppy blues and this doesn't always happen when it's a puppy. It might be even when your dog's older, they have some regression in their behavior. Fight through it, stick with it, and the relationship that you will build with your dog is always, always worth it. That's it for this episode. It's a little different. I just wanted to give people some context and some, hopefully, hope with their dog and with their puppy. I appreciate everyone who has left reviews and continues to leave reviews and comments. It's so helpful. I appreciate them. I look at all of them. And thank you again for listening or watching. Please continue to leave reviews, and we will catch you on the next episode.